Hello everyone, welcome back to part 15 of the web development in Python with Django. In this part, we'll cover how to send an email confirmation using Django when someone registers on our website. You should already be familiar that when we sign up on any website, it sends us the confirmation link to activate the account and verify the email address. Often, when we want to reset, remind, or change the password of the account, it also emails us such information. Before starting, make sure that you at least have the basics of Django and Python. Create the basic setup of Django and configure your settings. You might use all my Django tutorial series that I left links in this video description. Follow it, get to the 15th part, download all the files, and you might test this tutorial. And as always, I continue within the part where I left in the previous tutorial. Because email sending is related to user on our website, most of the stuff we'll do will be done in our user's application. We'll begin by creating a backbone for an email sending. So we head to our users views and replace several lines in our register function at first. But before that, let's run our server. So I open it, I'll run this in a debug mode. Okay, right now it's running, and if I go to my register, here is 4 lines that we want to replace right now to do some different functionality. So right now when a user tries to register, it is immediately saved on our database. So right now we will add a commit to equal to false. This means that it won't be saved on our database. But instead, right now, I'll change the status of is active to false. This means that from the form, we get the user object. And this user object by default has an activation status as true. But we want to change this status, so I replace it to false. This means that if user don't have an activated email address of his account, the status will be false and he will be not able to log in into our website. So right now I call a user save and we are saving the user into database. And here I would like to redirect our user to a home page, and here instead of calling a login function and some kind of message, I will call activate email function. Here input is the request, user, and form cleaned data dot get, and here will be an email. Here I already have this function prepared for you guys. It's simply we call this function and it will call a message that tells our user that go to an email that you used to register, and when there you should receive a link that you might use to activate your user account. So now let's head back to our website and let's give it a try to register a new user, when we should receive this message in our front end. I click save, I go back to my website, and here I press sign up, and I'll use a test user as test2, and I'll use my original email, and no, I'll use a test3. I'll remove it later, and here will be test3 at test.test, and press sign up. So that's nice. We received this test3. Please go to my test email and etc. And this way you should receive the exclamation email. That's nice. That's exactly what I was expecting. And later I'll remove this user within my admin user. Continuing this tutorial, I'll give you an example how to do this with a Gmail, but it also works with other emails with the right configurations. Otherwise, if you don't have a Gmail account, you can always create one just to complete this tutorial. So first we go back to my Gmail and I click on my accounts on the right side. I click manage your Google accounts. I go to the security, and please make sure that you have the two-step verification enabled. It is required to do this. And then I go to the security and on the app passwords. Here it will ask me to retype my password. So I do this As you can see, I already have this Django email tutorial. That's especially when I was testing how everything works, and this works, and this is my original Django website keys, and you simply need to click here on other, and this type just test, and it will generate you a new IDs. Now you need to copy this, and don't forget to copy it because it will show you only one time. If you forget it, you'll need to create a new password. So you simply copy this and type this into your settings. But I already have everything prepared in my settings. So I go to my Django website, I go to my settings, and here I have everything already prepared. So I uncomment this stuff. This is my password, and of course I'll disable this password after I release this tutorial. So make sure to do this by yourself because you will not be able to log into my mail and etc. And this is the password reset timeout timer, and this will is telling how long the Django token will be available when we send an email. Right now this is 40,400, and this means that it will be available for 4 hours. After this time, this token will expire and you'll need to create a new one. Okay, and now we need to create a function that will generate these tokens. And here I have already created a tokens.py script in my user's application. So we head to it, and here I have all the functionality I need. So we simply define here a main hash function that use a primary key, timestamp, and the status of the user. And this is how we generate this token we need. But as you can see, we don't have this 6 package installed. So I'll add this to requirements and I'll install it. So here is the 6, and if I open a new terminal, pip install -requirements, it should install me the, as you can see, it installed me 6, and now it should work for me. If I go to tokens.py, it looks right now correct. So cool, let's head back to our views function, and here I already have this import, and I already have all the imports that we'll need in this tutorial. Also, there is additional few imports that will be in all the future tutorials, but for some reason I'm not typing everything now by hand, word by word. I simply left it here before starting recording this tutorial, not, well, of course, to save our time, because who cares what we are importing and so on. So I'm leaving in here, just copy them from me and you'll be good to go. Right now, everything will happen in this function. So this means that we'll activate our users here. So we need to extend this functionality. So here I'll type that I need a mail subject that will be equal to activate your user account. Next, I need a mail message. And this the hardest part is to construct, and this will be rendered to string, and here will be my template that already prepared. Here I'll uncomment this template and I'll grab the name of this template. So we go back to views, and here is the HTML template that I'm creating. Cool. And here it will be a dictionary of various parameters. So first there is a user, and this user has a unique username that we are giving this template. Next is our website domain, and this domain will use a get current site, and here a request, and from this request we need to get our domain. That's right. Next is UID. This is some kind of primary key converter to a string, coded string. So we use URL safe decode, and here is 4 bytes, and we use a user primary key. That's unique ID for each of the users. Next is a token, and this is also unique ID that we are generating from our tokens function. So I call token, and here is make token function. We call it and we pass the user. This is specific token for the users. And the last thing is protocol, and this is specific for the websites, whether we have this in production or development, because it will specify the security status of our website. It's a simply HTTPS if request is secure, otherwise it's HTTP. This is required when constructing a link in which we send to our users. That's cool. And next we need to construct the email message that we'll send. So I call email message, and here will be mail subject message, and it will be equal to email. Save it. Nice. So we constructed an email. Now we need to save it. We need to send it. So if email send, we receive a true when we send it. We would like to inform our user about that, and otherwise we will message an error for him. And here will be error and request. And I would like to tell the user that problem sending email to email, and we close it. Check if you type it correctly. Cool. We'll send this message to him, and that's really great. And as you can see, here is a user domain, UID, token, and protocol. And we use all this information in this template, as you can see, because there is a user, or user username, there is a domain, UID, and token. And this information is simply constructed to create a unique, specific activation link for our users. When we created this template, this might not work for us yet because we are addressing an activate path that doesn't exist yet. This means that we need to implement functionality that will activate our user account when we click on our email link. To do so, we begin by adding a specific URL path for it in our users urls.py. So I navigate here, or I have it here, so I will simply uncomment it. This function will call the activate function, which we don't have yet. So I go back to my views, and I'll create a very specific activate link here. I'll define a def1 activate, it will be a request, UI db64, and a token. And this will return us redirect to a homepage. This should work right now. And let's see if my server is running. Not correctly. Let's refresh it. It should work fine right now. Fine. So it's working. Let's go to my website and let's create an account that we would like. So I press sign up. Here I'm creating test2, and here I'm using my original email and password. I'm creating a password, and I press sign up. Bytes object has no attribute and code. Okay, let's go back to my views and let's see what's wrong here. Oh, I see. It should be not a decode and encode because we are creating the UID. That's fine. Let's refresh this, and yeah, let's go back here where we try to create this user. Okay, it might fail now because it was saved in our database. Yeah, we need to log into our admin user, Palm tree, verify, log in. I go to my admin users, and there is a users, and I'll remove 2 of these because they are not necessary anymore for us. And view site, log out, sign up, and here again I'm creating test2 with my email, and I'm creating a password for that. And I click sign up. Cool. So right now we should have received this email. And if I go to my mailbox, I'll refresh it, and here it is, activate your user account. and we received this kind of link. That's really cool. And if I click it, it doesn't work. It simply redirects me back to homepage. So in this step, we are ready to make it work for us. So we're gonna complete this link to activate our user account. So I go back here to my activate, and instead right now I'll search my user model, get user model. That's a function, that's cool. And here I'll try to get user ID, and this is, I'll try to decode it from URL safe decode right now, and here is UIDB64 as an input. And if it's okay, user will be user objects dot get primary key equal to UID. This means that we are decoding this kind of stuff to receive primary key of our user, and after that we search if such a user exists in our database. So if it fails, this means we need to set it as none right now. But for example, if it's not one, this means we found a certain user. We are checking if user is not none, and if it's none, this means we found a user in our database. We need to check if the token is valid. So we use this account activation token, and here we call a check token function, and we pass a user and token to this function. And if this succeeds, we call it as activation. So now is active, we set as true. This means that right now this user has activated his email and it's valid, and we save this user into our database. And now we can inform our user that it did something correctly. So here I'm creating messages success, and here is a request as always, and I'll give it a message. Thank you for your email confirmation. Now you can log in your account, and we'll redirect to our login page. And otherwise, this means it might fail to do something. So here we call a message error, and here we tell that request and activation link is invalid. Is invalid. This means it expired, or for some other reason people were trying to hack us and was guessing for this link. Here we are decoding UID and token that was given in an activation email. So we are decoding them and checking whether the user exists in our database with a decoded primary key. If the user exists, we are checking whether the token is not expired yet. If it's not, we set the user as active and redirect it back to the login page. Otherwise, we prompt an error message and redirect the user to the homepage. Let's head back to my email and click that link that before wasn't working. It simply was redirecting us back to our homepage. So if I go here to my email and I click on this link, it worked, but I think I haven't saved this yet. So I need to save. It will refresh, and let's go back here and let's click it again. And thank you for email confirmation. You can log in your account right now. That's nice, and it worked, and I'm really excited about that. So let's now try to log into our account, and if you follow with this tutorial, you should receive exactly the same information or very similar if you use the same message prompt for a user. So I click test 2, I type the password here, I click I'm not a robot, log in, and here we are logged in as a user, and that's nice. We can click to test our profile, here's our email. Of course, I can change this if I would like to, but I don't want to do that right now. And everything was just easy, quick, and not that frustrating. So overall, it works real nice, and it wasn't so hard to implement. So we successfully created an email configuration-based user registration. This process is straightforward and required less code to complete than you can imagine before starting it. You can make an improvement by adding more functionality, such as an attractive template, redirection to the homepage, two-factor authentication, or etc. Everything depends on your imagination. All this stuff with email authentication gives us some certainty that your users that are registering do use a real email, which in the future you can use to send notification or subscription emails. Although now we use reCAPTCHA and email verification, which adds a lot of security to our website. But still, because now we are using an email verification system, what we'll do if the user forgets his password? So here comes our next tutorial, where we'll cover how to reset our user passwords. So that's it for this tutorial. I appreciate that you were watching up to this moment, and if you liked it, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I hope this was really useful tutorial for you. And once again, thank you again for watching, and we'll see you in a next part. All the information about this tutorial is left in the video description. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.